Hey, y'all, listen. What's today? Monday. It's Monday trending topic. Divas in the building, and I'm glad y'all in the building with me, okay? So, welcome and happy Monday. Listen, tonight's title is simple. It's called Messed Up. Messed Up. And listen, as y'all hop on this train, y'all know what to do. Hit that like button and get on this train ride, okay? Y'all my passengers out on the platform, and some of the passengers, they come up and they hop on the train. It don't matter if you on the platform or you hopping on the train. Hit the like button and I welcome you in the building. Listen, guys, okay? The title is called Mess Up. And say holler at my moms if you on the platform, okay? Because they out there. Julius and Katrina is out there right now manning the platform. So holler at the mods. So listen, guys, thank you for being here. The title is called Messed Up. Messed Up. And it's very simple. Messed up. You know, ever since that college student lost his life recently, I want to say his name is Caleb Wilson, lost his life, unfortunately. May he continue to rest in peace, and may his family find peace, because this was a senseless death. It's one thing that somebody is ill and they pass away. You know, it's a little different sometimes, you know, even though it's senseless, like if they're in a freak accident. But he was trying to become part of a brotherhood, and now his life is gone. Well, there's a lot of parents out there that unfortunately lost their kids to hazing deaths, and these parents are trying to stop it. It's like you rather catch a felony. I didn't do the story because I just didn't feel like doing it, because I was just like, sometimes some stories, they too much. But there was a story where another hazing thing where they was literally in a car, driving a car and hitting the pledgees with a car. This is stupid. It's too much. So we're going to talk about the hazing deaths and all of these parents that are trying to get this to stop. Then when I came across this story, I was a little shocked, and I was like, you know what, we got to talk about this. Nia Long. You know, everybody is out there in New York City, supporting Denzel Washington. Now, my friend got tickets a long time ago. Now, if you want a ticket, you got to cough up like $1,000 or something crazy like that. No, I'm good. And y'all know I love Broadway, but there is no way on the face of this earth that I'm about to pay $1,000 to see anybody on Broadway, let alone Denzel Washington. And I love Denzel. I probably watched every single Denzel Washington movie that he is in. I promise you I have. And some of them I watched more than once. But I still am not going to cough up $1,000 of my dollars to see him on Broadway. I'll have to take a pass on that. But I'm glad he's doing well, especially because Candy Burris and Todd Tucker, they're producers on the show. Now, if he does an extended thing and they lower the ticket price to the reasonable where Diva can afford to go, then I'll go see Denzel. But until then, Diva won't be there. But guess who was there? Sherri Shepherd and Nia Long. The stars are coming out fast and furious to see Denzel. J-Lo was there. Everybody's going to see him. So Sherri Shepherd and Nia Long went to see Denzel. Who knew Nia's gangster? She walked up on Sherri, turned her around with her arm. Yeah, she tripping. She tripping. I ain't going, you know me over here, I could keep it 100. She tripping. She went over there, she grabbed her arm and said, "You's talking about me." And I'm paraphrasing, "Stop talking about me. Girl, you're a whole celebrity. You got to get out your feelings. If it's a hot topic, but people going to talk about you and talk about it." Now, I'm going to say this respectfully. I don't think Nia Long has done anything new lately. So she got to be mad that everybody was talking about her when her and her fiance went through what they went through. But honey, stop being mad at the world. Be mad at him. Be mad at him. He was the one that was committed to you. He was the one that stepped out on you. He was the one that humiliated you. And you gonna be mad at the people addressing it out, and then that's their job? No, you can't be mad at them. Be mad at him. He's the one that owed you. Y'all the one that got a child together. Men out here, they fall for the okie doke all the time. But if you with one of those men, you gotta chalk it up to the game. I'm not gonna be running after no mistress, no woman. I'm not making a phone call. I'm not placing a phone call. If my man wants to be in the street, put him back in the streets. And I'll wait on God. I'll wait on him to send me the next one. Until then, I'm good. We're going to talk about how she confronted her and how Sherri, when she was in intermission, she was in the bathroom. She was waiting in the bathroom to see if she was going to be able to check her. But Nia Long never came to the bathroom. Maybe she held it. I don't know. But we're going to talk about it. Then, I see a lot of sad stories about child labor or forced labor. When I read this Bumblebee Foods story, I was like, this is got to be one of the worst I have read in like forever. So they saying over there, Bumblebee Foods out in Indonesia, they got to go on the boats. Well, at least I can tell you this, it is real tuna. If that means anything to you. So they out on the boats, they catching the fish. And they said the working conditions are horrific. Not your manager beating you. I'm not working nowhere where they beating me. The man said he got beat so much he lost count. And they stabbing you with needles. And they're not feeding you. He said sometimes they would have to eat the bait that they get to the fish to catch the fish because they didn't have no food to eat. I would have caught one of them fish, took it in the kitchen, fried it up, and ate it. You beating me anyway, so you gonna beat me for eating this fish. But you know what? God bless the whistleblowers. All you whistleblowers out there, keep your head up. God bless you. To have the strength and the tenacity to speak up. So now they're being sued by 3 employees that had enough. One said that something fell on his leg and broke open his skin down to the bone. He said blood filled up in his boot and they made him continue to work. No medical care. The horrific things that was going on in this Bumblebees that probably still is going on food situation. I said to myself, there was a lot of people that probably lost their lives. It had to be. It had to be the way they was treating these individuals. One said he was in the kitchen and then hot oil splashed on him and his stomach and his leg. And said immediately his skin started to blister and they told him, you can't go get medical care. Where they do that at? Then if you didn't hear enough, here go the worst part of it all. The worst part of it all was they wasn't even really paying them. Unbelievable. But we're going to have a conversation about it. So listen, guys, y'all know what I need in the chat. I need a what? I need a choo-choo. All aboard, everybody. It is Monday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The title is real simple. It's called Messed Up. These hazing deaths, messed up. Nia Long wanting to step to people like she's straight from the streets. We on Broadway, sis. I'm dressed up. I came here to see Denzel. What you touching? What you doing? And then we got this Bumblebee Foods scandal situation. Hey, Katrina.
Hey Diva, hey Fanta, choo choo choo.
Hey, Julius. Hey,
Hey
Wayne.
y'all, hit the like button.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, Savannah.
Hey
Hey,
Diva, hey Fanta.
hey. Listen, we're going to get right into the stories here, okay? I'm gonna start with this hazing situation because it's a large amount of deaths that we know of that has happened from this situation. Um, I don't understand it. And I do pray that it stops because, parents send their kids to school. A lot of people that send their kids to school, not saying it's all, they are really making big sacrifices because they got to find the money to kind of, get their kid into school and all the money that they're paying for their kid to be in said school. And if their kid doesn't go to the school within their state, that's a whole nother additional cost, just getting the kid back and forth from spring break, when they got to move in, when they got to move back home and all of that. It's a big expense and it's a lot. And these parents are just doing everything they can to make sure their kids are successful and succeed. And then your child just wants to do college things. And one of the college things is a lot, is like being a part of a fraternity or a sorority. But some of this hazing just goes too far. And when someone loses their life or they're traumatized for life just by trying to become part of an organization is insane. Let me go ahead and share a screen. Oh, that's not, I wasn't doing that story first. Let me stop. Hold on, that's the wrong. Okay, here it is. So, special report how killer hazing rituals have killed 200 college students in 2 decades as victim parents speak out. So, unfortunately, this is the young man, part of one of the latest individuals that lost their life as a part of hazing. Every time I think of this story, it just saddens me, because I feel like they had opportunity to call for medical professionals to come try to help him out, and we'll never know if they would have called maybe when this first started happening, if he would still be here or not. But because they didn't call, we know for sure he's no longer here. So dozens of college students, and I'm sorry, let me say his name. His name is Caleb Wilson. May he continue to rest in peace and may his family find peace. It's just very sad. Dozens of college students have seen their young lives tragically snuffed out over the last 2 decades from insane fraternity hazing rituals, leading one grieving parent to rage. It's got to stop. It's killing people. Following 20-year-old Caleb Wilson's shocking death in late February at Louisiana Southern University and A&M College, Radio Online launched an investigation into the murky and too often deadly world of Greek campus life. We uncovered an alarming epidemic that has claimed the lives of 200 university students in all, with an incredible 50 deaths between 2000 and 2021 alone. It all gets to be so dangerous so quickly, said Stephen, whose 18-year-old son Max died in 2017 during a hazing ritual at Louisiana State University Phi Delta Theta fraternity. It's kind of like someone's drinking and driving. They don't believe they're going to kill somebody when they get behind the wheel, but it happens all the time. Tim, a 19-year-old engineering major at Penn State, was another young man whose promising life was senselessly cut short. On February 4th, 2017, Tim and 14 other pledges participated in a drunken obstacle course called the Gallop at Beta Theta Phi fraternity. After guzzling several times the legal limit of alcohol, Tim fell down a flight of steps. His would-be frat brothers, and I actually remember this story, carried him to a couch, doused him with cold water, slapped him with the hopes that he would rouse himself. Several times during the night, he got up only to fall again. Finally, 12 hours after his initial tumble down the stairs, a fraternity brother called 911, but by then it was too late. Before he died, Tim had been breathing heavily, had blood on his face, and his skin had turned gray, according to a police investigation that charged 28 Beta Theta Phi members in his death. His grieving mom, Evelyn, told RadarOnline.com, imagine losing one of your children because of meanness, cruelty, and abuse, and to know that people didn't value his life enough to call for help when he needed it. It's every day that you wake up and realize that a piece of you is missing. Less than 8 months after Tim's untimely death, Max died at Louisiana State University Phi Delta Theta fraternity while participating in a hazing ritual, cheekily referred to as Bible study. In reality, the heartless hazing called for pledges to chug 190 proof alcohol if they were unable to recite the Greek alphabet or answer questions about the fraternity. Max's body was discovered the following morning with a blood alcohol content 6 times the legal limit. 2 years later, a former member of the fraternity, Matthew, was convicted of negligent homicide and sentenced to 5 years in prison. If anybody would have just called 911 in that room that night, Max could have been saved, said Stephen, who has visited his son's grave every Friday since his death. I feel that folks just don't believe it's going to get upgraded the penalty for hazing related deaths. Grover added, it's unbelievable that young adults are willing to risk felony charges to haze someone else. And that just hurts me to the core. The reason we strengthen these laws is to deter people from doing this. Meanwhile, heartbroken mom Evelyn said it's incredulous to her that horrors like this are still happening. She said, you need to ask yourself, how does punching someone in the chest make someone a better fraternity brother? It's infuriating and incomprehensible, and it's got to stop. It's killing people. I am so in agreement that this is so horrible and it has got to stop. I don't know how else they can stop it if these people know that it's a felony, it's a charge, and that it's against a lot of these campus rules. It's just sad. Katrina, your thoughts?
I'm with you, Diva. Anything to say rituals, it just gives me witchcraft sacrifice and all that type of stuff. I've heard about these fraternities having these kids do cocaine, using, taking bars, which you know what the bars are. Everybody should know what bars are, which I hope they do, which is a type of controlled substance. They do all this stuff, and you never know how it's going to turn out. You put, like she just said, you putting somebody else's life in your hands because y'all want to have fun and ridicule to get somebody into association or whatever they call it, a sorority whatsoever. Um, it's certain things that you can do to bring somebody into a sorority. You don't have to do all the heinous stuff that you're doing. The embarrassment, having folks go on buildings, hanging flags on high ceilings and on high rooftops. That stuff is not worth it. You want to be in something that bad? I'm not gonna risk my life for it. No, ma'am. If I see the first person and what they did to that person, I'm not standing around letting nobody punch me in my chest, or making me take the cocaine or anything like that, or drinking all it. Because I remember that guy, he drank all that alcohol, he died from alcohol poisoning. This ridiculous, and the reason why they're not accused because it's not done on most of these fraternities and not on the campus of these places, especially the ones with the cocaine and all that. They could even charge them. But it's a sad situation. I hope these kids thinks. I know everybody want to be in the sorority and want to be cool and whatsoever, but it's not worth risking your life to be just a part of an association. That's all I got, Eva.
Thank you. Julius, your thoughts?
All this is not worth it. Definitely not worth your safety. Can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure.
We can.
Not worth your safety, not worth your psychological state of mind. It's not worth to tarnish any of that. You are precious in a paternity or out of paternity. You are what matters. I understand about wanting to be a part of it so it could look good on your resume. Look, if it's worth you putting your life on the line, it is not worth it. think before doing these pledging things and everything else, because just like the bullying alone, just the one episode from, like, okay, let's call it like this, from the Parkers, the women fraternity. Bullying like that does happen. It's not worth it.
Yeah. In my opinion, your thoughts?
Um, so we have to go back to what the fraternities and sororities was meant for, and that was brotherhood and sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
And what brotherhood and sisterhood about beating somebody or hurting somebody? My heart breaks that these young kids today think that this is what brotherhood and sisterhood look like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would never harm my brother or my sister. I would never want somebody to harm them. I would want to protect them. And so for you to be my big brother or my big sister and you bringing me into this organization, your first thought should be to protect me, to look out for me. And instead, these kids are growing up and saying, hey, we're going to beat you, we're going to hurt you, and now we unaliving you.
Mm.
And then you got parents that sit here and pay all this money because it's cost a lot of money, not only for school, but then we have to pay for these fraternities and the fees. And now you leaving a family that got to suffer from this because of the choices you made. Now you not only impacted your life and the other person's life, you impacted families' lives. It's sad, and I wish these schools would get stricter restrictions on watching over these kids when they're doing this, because essentially that's what they are, grown kids.
Mm. Thank you, in my opinion. Savannah, your thoughts?
Well, Diva is, I, like you, have been following this story to see, what the charges are. There going to be additional charges on the three that were arrested for this unfortunate passing? But Greek life, this hazing, binge drinking, and Katrina is right. It's more of a secretive, ritualistic behavior that is kept is kept on the low. I'm pretty sure the student bodies hear about incidents and stuff like that, and even school officials. But these organizations do pay fines and fees to the schools to kind of make them go away or become ghosts in some cases. I can recall when I was in school, there was such a thing as called Hell Week. I remember that very vividly, where pledges were um, forced to do embarrassing tasks, or the binge drinking, or even just things that are okay now, but back then were taboo. This is until the schools themselves start getting fined or losing state regulated funding, or until these organizations start, uh, they start having to report data on incidents. This is going to continue because it's such a toxic culture, and our children continue to want to be part of something, regardless if it hurts them physically, spiritually, or even mentally. But they feel like at the end they do belong to a brotherhood or sisterhood. And that's where I think the unfortunate, um, the moral of the story is that our children want to belong to something that doesn't have their best interests at heart. You don't have to be beat to be part of something. Uh, I don't think this is going to be the last story we hear. But until schools start being held accountable, this will continue to be an unfortunate epidemic in our schools, in our colleges.
Mm, thank you, Savannah. Wayne, your thoughts?
You know, I really hate stories like these because a lot of kids that maybe they're the only child,
Yeah,
or maybe the father's not present,
yeah.
and they're searching. They want to be a part of something,
True. Facts. You talking. Mm-hmm.
and to go to college. And I think those are some of the ones they target harder
Mm,
because they really not tough, but they don't want to show it. But
mm-hmm.
they know, other kids know the level of some of these kids. Some may have a level of autism. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just think that these are his friends. It was a story a few years ago where this boy was autistic, had a level of autism. Remember when they was doing those challenges, the cold water challenge, you dumping water on your head and all this other kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did that to him.
Mm,
But what they did, they urinated, they defecated,
mm.
all of that, and dumped it on his head like they did the challenge.
Oh my God.
Now, most people, if you don't have any kind of, just whatever, just not, what is it? I mean, you're just not thinking of that. They don't have no sense of danger. You know, regular kid may have been like, oh, y'all not doing that to me. But, they want to be, that's the sad part. They want to be a part of something so bad and they get placed in these situations. Of course, they're not going to run home and tell their mother. And even the ones, if they that aren't unalived, they have a scar on them for the rest of their life. And what do hurt people do? Hurt people hurt other people. And I believe some of these kids that's doing this, they went through it. Okay? They didn't like it, but they had to survive. Had to get through it. So what do? They want to put that same initiation on somebody else. Okay? And some of the other students, maybe they can take it. Maybe they've been out in the streets or, a little rougher. But some kids are just not built like that. And they will think these are my brothers. These are my friends. They wouldn't hurt me. And the sad thing about it is that the timid ones, the ones that you can have a level of autism and still go to college, be great and successful.
Mm-hmm.
But you just may have that subdued kind of appearance, or a soft appearance. And those are the ones they take advantage of. I don't think some of these hard dudes going in there getting beat the slop out of. But the younger ones, and I think sometimes when because they have like maybe a fear of once it starts, the ones who's doing the initiating, it's like they going in all the way. They're not looking to see if they're, okay, are they okay? No. They beat them, some of them, obviously somebody, they beat them till it's too late. Remember the one that was on the football team? And they initiated him on the bus and unalived him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just sad because these timid kids, they want to be a part of something so bad they're not telling nobody, they're not letting their parents know what's going on or what's about to go on or nothing. They keep it secret, and then things like this happen, and it's sad. Like I said, everybody loses. All of our future scholars or possible scholars now end up trying to get their education through a prison system. And it's sad. One's gone, then you got several others. You might as well say damn near gone when they go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they need to have, it needs to be some kind of I don't know, law or something in the school. Okay, if they go, if this happens, there are consequences for it, and the ones, you know, even expelling them or do something. You just can't go around unaliving people and then hurting people like that the rest of their life. This go through their whole lives. So I just feel sorry because, you know, I have a grandson who I raised, and he's 20. And I know he wants to be a part of something. You know, with his mother's only child. He joined the
Yeah.
ROTC, and he was telling me how, like, yeah, Dad, you know, yeah, I'm learning this, and you know, the camaraderie and all that kind of stuff, you know. And it would hurt me that if somebody took advantage of him like
Yeah.
that. I'm done.
I appreciate you for talking, but you said a really key word here. It's like, because you know, it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And even if you do have brothers and sisters, but especially those that don't, I mean, the idea of, you know, I know a lot of fraternity and sorority people, and literally, if you driving down the street and you have, like, you know, on your license plate, maybe around it, you have your sorority or fraternity or whatever, and you know, someone sees it, like, and they're part of that fraternity or sorority, they're like honking at you. So it's like people from, it's a connection that all over the world, you will automatically connect with some people just because they are in said sorority or fraternity. And you made a very good point last time when we talked about just the Caleb Wilson story. You said how a lot of these fraternities and sororities, the scholarships that they give out and all of that, right? Yeah, the system brotherhood is real. But I think that perhaps maybe collectively, I felt like this was a moment where collectively all of these fraternities and sororities should have spoken out, not directly saying anything about that situation because it's still a legal situation, but you know, denouncing and all of this hazing. It is real and it goes on, and it's sad. And even if it only took one life every 10 years, that's still somebody's child gone. Something has to change because we do need belonging, but we don't need belonging where I'm a belong, but I'm scarred because the other day you beat me down before I got in and you was hugging me saying you made it, I'm your sister. All right, I'm gonna roll into this next story, and the next story I'm gonna do is Nia Long and Sherri Shepherd. I think that, you know, if you are sensitive, probably doing any social media is going to be hard for you if you're going to be a content creator, right? If you're going to be a content creator, you're going to do TikTok, you're going to do YouTube or whatever other platform, and you're going to be in your fields, it may not be the job for you. You have to learn how to take a licking and keep on ticking when you put yourself out there to be, you know, in the entertainment world or to be in social media. And listen, don't get it twisted. I'm never saying that it's right, because there are a lot of people, they just go way too far. They go way too far. So I'm never saying that it's right. But what I am saying is that you're going to have some level of understanding that this is what you signed up for. There's some fine print. Let me get into this story because I believe it was Nia Long. Now, Sherri Shepherd on her show didn't say, of course, you know, the sources are telling all the business, so to speak. But it's very sad. Let me see which one I want to go to. I guess I'll use this one. I had 2 articles on this same subject. So, Sherri Shepherd reveals confrontation with unnamed celebrity that she allegedly shaded at Othello opening night. Okay, so don't come for Sherri. Sherri Shepherd got a confrontation with an unnamed celebrity at a star-studded Othello opening night on Broadway on Sunday. She revealed on her talk show the next day. I want to talk about this unnamed celebrity and what she did to me. Shepherd 57 told her live audience. A source told Page Six on Monday that Nia Long was allegedly the celebrity in question. Like Shepherd, Long 54 took pictures on the red carpet. The Post reached out to Long's rep for a comment, but did not immediately hear back. To me, if it wasn't me, you would have heard back from me right away. But that's me. I got along with everybody. I get along with everybody. I really do, Shepherd said. So I'm standing there and I was talking to Kadeen and DeVale Ellis, and DeVale Ellis is on Sisters. So this unnamed celebrity actress who shall remain nameless, I'm standing there talking. Somebody grabbed my arm and they forcefully turned me around. The actress and comedian said she was in a good mood. So she gave the person a friendly greeting, which wasn't reciprocated. She says to me, she goes, "You've been shading me a lot." That's what she said to me, Shepherd recalled. I said to her, "No, I haven't," because I was really confused, she added. And she goes, "Yes, you have." And then she just walked off. The talk show host went on. Now, let me tell you something. First of all, I know who I shade because I don't shade many people. It might be one person I shade, and I never have shaded this unnamed celebrity. And so she came up to me in front of everybody going, "You shaded me." And then she walks off. So I was mad. I was really mad. And I said, "You know what? You don't freaking get to do that to me," Shepherd added. So she went to the bathroom during intermission and waited there for 15 minutes for the celebrity who never showed up. You want to tell me I shaded you? No, no. You don't get to pull me and turn me around like a damn going cartoon and then you walk away, Shepherd said. Since she didn't get the hash things out with the celebrity directly, Shepherd shared a message for them on her show. "I would say to the unnamed celebrity, because you think I shaded you, which means you watch my show. I don't know who you think I am," she said. "I think you got me confused with somebody, one of the bloggers or the influencers, because I know I didn't shade you." Matter of fact, when something scandalous comes up about you, I was on your side when it happened, the 30 Rock alum added. So I would say to the unnamed celebrity, because we known each other for a long time, come sit on my couch so we can talk about it. "And you know who you are," Shepherd concluded to the camera. The first official Othello show, starring Denzel Washington and Jake at the Barrymore Theater in New York City this weekend, was a star-studded affair. The female celebs in attendance was Katie Holmes, Martha Stewart, Nicole Schwarzenegger, Jennifer Lopez, Ariana DeBose, Cynthia Nixon, Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh, the people came out. Maggie, Angela Bassett, Danielle Brooks, Sonny Houston, hosting, Anna Wintour, Rosie Perez, Nicole Ari Parker, Deborah Roberts, Jennifer Nettles, Gail King, and Candy Burris. Spike Lee, Coleman Domingo, Blair Underwood, Peter Dinklage, and a whole bunch of Jill and Joe Biden came to the show. They showed up for Denzel. Now, I will say this, Sherri, when she grabbed your arm, but sometimes I will say this, sometimes we don't whatever Drusella, don't worry about my reading. You can leave. Well, I will say this, when she grabbed Sherri initially, then Sherri should have spoke then. But I do know that sometimes in the moment, you don't process it till later. And then when you process it, you like, "Oh my God, no, they didn't do that to me." It's crazy. But I think Nia Long might have got it wrong. So, Katrina, your thoughts?
Girl, she better be careful who she running up on. And first of all, if Sherri was talking about her, she ain't the only one. Your relationship was all over the news. Your relationship was all over TMZ. Your relationship was all over YouTube. But you gonna run up on Sherri, the one that always seems like she's happy and try to keep things going? Neil, you need to stop. You need to manage what's going on in your life and your relationships or whatever you got going on. That was uncalled for her to do that. She lucky she didn't run up on the right one and got clubbered. But like I said, Sherri is not the only person that's been talking about your life or shading your life, which like I said, I never even heard Sherri even talk about her like that though. And for the person in the chat, Diva reads as divas read. And we do not
Hey,
insult. We do not insult our
the host. The
thank you, Diva. I'm doing my hand. You can
yeah,
you do not we do not we
no,
do
no,
not
I
come for our
appreciate
host. We
you.
don't come for our host now. We hold her in high regards. We don't do that. And
Yeah,
if you don't like her reading, you can go somewhere else. We like that you're here, but just do not,
don't
do
do
not
it.
insult the host. That's
Thank
all I
you,
got, Diva.
Katrina. Julius, your thoughts?
I guess Nia didn't learn nothing when she was slapped upside the head by Debo, but I digress. But I will say this: run up on me if you want to. We can have a conversation, cause I know how to be around the way. Don't play with me. Now, if you want to have a conversation, call my secretary and we can set it up over coffee and talk like grown ladies. Until then, I'm out and about mingling and minding my business, and I'm going to continue to have my peace unimpeded while you have a pity party. And especially with your son's father clowning you 24/7, and it took you forever to make a statement and all of that. Girl, come off your high horse.
Thanks, Julius. Felicia, your thoughts?
Woo-hoo! Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. So we got an intruder in the building because y'all getting gangsta. I'm hearing stuff.
Mm, she left.
I'm
Mm,
sure she
Word
did.
on the homie.
uh-huh.
You know, the thing that I love about Nia is that she has no boundaries.
Oh,
I recall when that whole thing came out about whatever what was it? He wanted a husband. What was it? A boyfriend, a living partner, whatever.
a
Right?
fiance, the fiance for
Right.
years.
And
Uh,
he was supposed to be getting this great new opportunity and he was moving and everything. And then this thing about these multiple affairs and him hoeing on a job came out. Remember that?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And what did Nia do? She started calling up the boss and the co-workers and everything. Instead of talking to the man, she's calling people up on the job, asking them they were sleeping with her man, who was the one that was angry at the management, if you remember, because
Yeah,
she said they should have paid for her expenses and so forth and so on because they knew and who didn't know. And now she does this to Sherri. Now, at first, I thought about it and I said, oh, it probably was just mistaken identity. However, no one read to me or said that Nia went back and apologized. Did she apologize?
mm-mm.
All right, then it wasn't mistaken identity.
Mm,
So she's again without boundaries and parameters. She doesn't know location. She doesn't know what an appropriate space. She doesn't know how to say hello or goodbye or who she is. She just comes in with her energy and thinks you're supposed to accept it. She's a mature woman. I think she should be doing better with that by now. So here she is. And also she needs attention. All these people you said was at the show, people's probably walking right past her. So she
mm,
needed something
mm.
to say, hey, I'm here, and create a scene that was embarrassing for Sherri. So I'm sorry for what happened to Sherri. Nia, just go back home. Okay. Because she loved on the West Coast. So she was over here visiting this weekend. So we just need her to go back home. I'm done.
Thank you. Savannah, your thoughts?
I think we all forgot about this story until she brought it back up. So it's like men must need attention. Because I agree with everyone else. I don't recall Sherri mentioning her. It's been quite a bit, maybe over a year since that story came out. And what Nia needs to do is go home and check her man, if he's still her man or her child's father, whatever it is. I just think Nia needed attention on such a stellar night with all that talent out there. Diva, we got to get tickets. Go Candy. And maybe
Yo.
this was, I am so proud of her. And I loved Jake Gyllenhaal. He's an amazing actor. And to have him on stage with Denzel, that is phenomenal. So we definitely got to get tickets. I, I'm glad Sherry handled it the way she did. I think that was proper. And Nia's not woman enough to come on her stage and sit on her couch, and let her know woman to woman, hey, this, I felt this way about you talking about her situation. We wouldn't have known her situation if wouldn't have put it out there. So um, Nia's just her fall from grace is low right now, and that's a shame because uh, Hollywood looks at her as an A-list actress, but doing foolish things, absolutely childish and beneath her character to be behaving this way, especially on such a huge night. Maybe this was a scheme that Todd set up to come with the BS.
Mm. Wayne, your thoughts? Can I come to you already?
No.
Okay.
I would expect it, you know, a lot better out of Mia Long. What happened to when, it's like, let me see if I can get in touch with Sherri because, I believe she said something about me. And just kind of like between that, between between the two. And everybody is not as like the way Sherri explained it, how someone turned her so hard like she was a cartoon and she turned all the way around. That's almost fighting words to some people.
Mm.
Some people will fight you, say you accidentally bump into them. They want to break Western. The other thing, too, is that a lot of celebrities, they don't care about how bad the press is or whatever. If nobody's talking about them, whether it's good press or bad press, they're talking about them. We talk about Mia Long now. Sherri's talking about it. Other people will be talking about her. And some of them, that's what they want. They need to be in, whether it's good or bad, that somebody knows they still there. You ever hear some things happen? You say, well, about celebrities? Oh, I didn't even know they were still alive. So I think some celebrities, they need this attention. They go off. You don't, like somebody said, Mia Long hasn't done nothing in a while. She showed at that play at the thing. Nobody probably may not even recognize her. Because a lot of times when celebrities aren't on that screen, if they ain't been on that screen 5, 10 years, and you see them and you say, "Oh my God, what happened?" But when you're in constantly like doing a movie here, your presence is always out there. Look at Denzel. Denzel probably in his 60s, but he's been consistent across the line. So you don't see that he's a older man. He used to be the heartthrob, back when he was back in the day. But because he stayed consistent, we see Denzel. Mia Long hasn't been consistent, so they don't see Mia Long as Mia Long. I don't know what she looked like when she showed up at that place. But if you ain't been on the screen in a while, it's very noticeable to people that, oh my God, what happened to her? Or either it's like, oh, well, she looking good. So I like Mia Long. And I just would have expected a little more, out of her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. In my opinion, did you go?
No,
Go ahead, because my
I'm with Wayne. I think Nia got this picture coming out. She's gonna be in the Jacksons and she's gonna be Catherine, and she wants y'all to take notice of her. And so she picked on the person that she knew was gonna give her that energy, which was Sherri. And Sherri gave her that energy. She probably mad that Sherri didn't call her name though. She was like, "Say my name."
Mhm.
Uh, but hey, That's how these people is. They fame hungry.
Mm, Yeah, I'm disappointed in her. Nia Long could do better. I mean, for her, because when did that happen between her and this guy, her fiance? It had
A
to
year
be
and a half ago.
okay, almost 2 years, and you still salty? Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, she's saying Nia has always been problematic. I don't know if any of you remember she was rude to the stylist on the Empire. And Taraji apologized to the stylist and confronted Nia. I'm remembering that story a little bit. Oh, so Nia got a little bit of issues there. Okay. All she said had to do was ask Sherri to book on the show. All she had to do is not confront her at the Othello Broadway show meeting. And you know, all of these celebrities, they have a way of getting in touch with each other. You can tell your agent to get in contact with her agent because you want to holler at her. But if you're talking about me saying something almost 2 years ago, you got to stop and get over it. Whew. But we're going to roll into the last story. And this last story is Bumblebee Foods scandal, and it's pretty sad. Let me go ahead and share screen. So U.S. tuna giant Bumblebee Foods accused of profiting from modern-day slavery, human trafficking, and forced labor suit. 4 Indonesian fishermen have filed a landmark lawsuit against Bumblebee Foods, accusing the U.S. tuna giant of knowingly benefiting from forced labor and abuse in its supply chain. The plaintiffs allege they endured physical abuse, debt bondage, dangerous working conditions, and denial of medical care while working on fishing vessels that supplied tuna to Bumblebee, according to the federal complaint filed earlier this month in the Southern District of California. One plaintiff, Muhammad, was allegedly denied treatment after suffering severe burns and forced to keep working while injured, the lawsuit claimed. Another one, who was hired as a cook aboard a deep sea fishing vessel in 2021, alleged that he was denied medical care after cooking oil splashed into his stomach and ran down his legs, causing his skin to blister and swell almost immediately. He also alleged in a lawsuit that he encountered brutal conditions that included physical abuse and forced labor in an environment that was both harsh and hazardous. Muhammad, one of the co-plaintiffs, alleged that he was subjected to a violent and abusive environment aboard his vessel. He claimed the ship's captain regularly struck and whipped crew members, even going so far as to jab them with needles. According to him, the beatings were so frequent, he eventually lost track of how many times he was attacked. According to another plaintiff who, like many Indonesians, used a single name, recounted being seriously injured when a heavy load of fish crashed into his leg, tearing it open down to the bone and soaking his boot in blood. Despite the severity of the injury, he was forced to keep working. A 4th man, also using one name, alleged that food was so scarce on board that crew members sometimes had no choice but to eat the bait meant for catching fish. The lawsuit filed in San Diego on March 12th is the first known U.S. case targeting a seafood company over forced labor on fishing boats. The Post sought comment from Bumblebee, but of course, you know, they didn't respond. The plaintiffs were recruited by agencies that withheld their wages and were trapped at sea through transshipment, a practice where boats remain offshore for long periods, cutting off access to help, the suit alleged. In 2020, the Customs and Border Protection issued a withhold release order, WRO, against the Dwayne, a Taiwan-owned distant watering fishing vessel. The action effectively barred imports of seafood harvested by the Dwayne due to credible evidence of forced labor practices, including physical violence, debt bondage, withholding of wages, and abusive living and working conditions. The Dwayne was leaked to Bumblebee Foods' parent company, Feng Chung Formosa Fishery Company, FCF, a major Taiwanese tuna trader. In January 2020, FCF acquired Bumblebee Foods for $928 million. This acquisition raised concerns about Bumblebee's supply chain, given FCF's connections to vessels implicated in labor abuses. In 2022, Greenpeace USA reported finding a Bumblebee tuna can sourced from Dwayne, which was purchased in Arlington, Virginia. This discovery suggested that despite the WRO, products linked to the Dwayne had entered U.S. markets under the Bumblebee label. While the 2020 WRO targeted the Dwayne specifically, it underscored broader concerns about labor practices within the seafood supply chains of companies like Bumblebee. Bumblebee holds the largest market share in the U.S. for canned and poached tuna, offering products under brands such as Bumblebee, Brunswick, Sweet Sue, Snows, Wild Selections, Bumblebee, Superfresh, and Cloverleaf. The company employs approximately 1,300 people. Estimates of its revenue vary, with figures ranging from $108.9 million to $750 million. That's a lot of money for you not to treat people right. It's insane. Katrina, your thoughts?
Working on a fishing boat is already dangerous enough. And
Mm,
then, because these people out there be risking their lives, I be watching it on the Discovery Channel all the time. And for him, one guy said that his whole boot filled up with blood and he was still working. I'm
mhm,
surprised he didn't pass out. If you losing that much blood. But that is so sad. And I think I got some Bumblebee smoked oysters in there. I got to throw them in the trash can. They just messed me up with Bumblebee. And I love that Brunswick stew, so I can't even eat that no more. That's ridiculous. It's sad that these people putting their life, risking their life, and then you're not even giving them the dignity of being a human being because you treating them like you shanghaiing them and that they're out there on this boat risking their life for some fish that they can't even get paid for. But you getting the millions and dollars or thousands of dollars or whatsoever. That's a sad situation. I hope they get exactly what they're supposed to get, and I hope they put Bumblebee out of business. That's all I got. Let them buzz somewhere else. That's
mhm.
it, Dee.
Thank you. Julius, your thoughts?
Bumblebee can get shut down somewhere. They gonna get their karma, and I hope them workers are victorious. And I hope that they have lots of goodwill. The workers, I'm talking about that they have lots of goodwill coming their way. But as far as the company, I hope they get shut down and plenty more.
Yeah. Thank you. In my opinion, your thoughts?
So the audacity to hire these people and to not kill.
Mm,
Um, I think it's sad when we don't follow the rules of law that say you have to treat your employees decent. I feel like these workers have been fighting this battle in silence for a very long time. And I think people knew about it for a very long time and just brushed it up under the rug, paid off the right people. Yeah, I think Bumblebee needs a full blown investigation into they dealings and everything. And maybe even shut down and sued all at the same time.
mm. Felicia, your thoughts? We might have lost Felicia. Wayne, your thoughts?
I'm a little confused. Now, these people, Bumblebee is buying the fish from these people, So are we? So does Bumblebee own that? Is Bumblebee is the parent company?
Right, but the people are saying that Bumblebee knows that this particular company has these inhumane practices and they still continue to use them as a main supplier of their tuna.
Oh, I have to. This is one of these ones that have to play out in court because I can't. I'm not ready to bash Bumblebee because they're the company and they buy from these people, but the people are treating their employees like that. So I guess maybe they indirectly, because they said Bumblebee knows and so forth, and Bumblebee says they don't know. So it had to be settled in the court. So I'm not going to say that. I mean, it's unfortunate that they're in this situation, and their boss is probably getting paid good, but paying them slave laborers. So I'm not ready to throw, for me, Bumblebee under the bus, because I can see if they work directly under Bumblebee and Bumblebee was treating them like that. But this is like 2 or 3 companies down. You got the boat, the captain of the boat, and then the captain of the boat, he brings his fish to this other company and all that. So this is one I'd have to see it in court.
I hear you, Wayne, and I ain't gonna try to sway you no other way. But let me say this: if you had a clothing store business and you go to a factory to make all your clothing, and at this factory there's some child labor, are you gonna still use that factory?
But how do you know?
Jen,
If that's the case,
Because
nobody should be.
there was a known case against this company, and that's why they saying, how did some Bumblebee tuna from this company end up in Arlington, Virginia? Because there was a known lawsuit already against this company, and no, in the U.S., like Bumblebee wasn't supposed to be buying from them. There was a known already sanction against that company for doing everything that these people are accusing them of.
Oh, I'm not. This is one of these court issues for me. Because I'm not ready to throw them out. I like tuna fish. I like
you gotta stop
Bumblebee,
eating
Star
pee.
Kiss, and all of it.
I do Star Kiss.
And
Bumblebee.
and Katrina, send them smoked oysters down to me in Florida.
I send them to you. You can
Oh,
have them. Bumblebee and just keep my appetite.
well, I will say this though, the thing that I don't, now it's been 2 years, I don't eat it. So, but I'm not, I understand when people do. But the issue I have with that is bigger for me is not even if I put aside like who should owe who and who should be paying for this situation. I'm like, if these people are working in these horrific conditions and
Mm-hmm.
forcing them to work while they're sick, if you are forcing them to work after they got oil spilled on them and now their skin is blistering up, this one said his boot filled with blood. If you don't think that some of this nasty stuff is getting inside them tuna cans,
Ew.
That's
that's
why I said you just really killed my appetite with Bumblebee.
yeah.
Bumblebee gonna buzz somewhere else.
Of course, and then you got these people, and that's why you pray over all your food. But then you got these people that are unfortunately, working in these inhumane conditions. They're not being fed. They got to eat the bait. No, to me, it's no different than them saying boycott Target for 40 days. And by the way, just a little update before I close out. Target is losing millions, y'all. Millions. And Target thought they was going to be able to make this money up come Easter. But then they're doubtful with that because most of because the church is the one who started the boycott in the first place. So all I can say is that when it comes to my food, now listen, there's some clothing where sometimes you don't know where it was made, but when you know better, you do better. But when it comes to my food, if you telling me that the people who are canning this food, making this food, cooking this food before it get canned and catching it, and these people are being treated a certain kind of way, and when they have a medical condition, that's how we get all these darn recalls. Oh, recall this was
And what's in the needles that he's sticking them with?
that
What's in the needles?
too. I have no idea. I have no idea. And when people can treat people so inhumane like that, that is just insanity to me. Insanity. I have no idea when they said stab with the needles. But not only that, you was beat so many times that you just lost count.
Are they the same ones that keep going out on the boat with him, or they get the beat and then they don't ever show back up?
I think that, sometimes people, we are very fortunate. Like sometimes people don't understand how blessed they are. We're very fortunate the way we live here in the US. I mean, we have some things we may complain about, but we're very fortunate. Some of these individuals, because last year I did that story on, what is that, Shein, that particular company, where these people was writing on the labels, help, I'm in pain, I got a toothache. It's just insane the way some things are really run. There was a pizza shop in New York where he had all undocumented workers. I'm about to close out, so I don't want to get too deep into that story, but that man is now doing 15 years because he was treating these undocumented workers so badly, so poorly. And he was a staple. I want to say the pizza shop was in Long Island. He was a staple in that neighborhood, and he was treating those employees in a really bad. But listen, guys, I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate y'all hanging in there with these topics that I had tonight. I want to say this: the hazing has got to stop, and I really hope that on a higher level and within the organizations themselves. And these are, as you see with this story I did today, it's not just Black organizations. This is across the board. It just needs to stop. And two of those stories I clearly remember. And when they called the cops, unfortunately, it was too late. Nia Long, do better, girlfriend. And the Bumblebee situation, I hope that these particular individuals get millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, because that is horrific. You're beating me. You're not paying me. You're sticking me with needles. I have a medical emergency and you're getting me no help. You're going to tell me to keep working. I am positive in my mind that there are people that died on them vessels and they probably just kicked them over in the water and kept it moving. They have no regard for life. None. Listen, guys, thanks for watching. Y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit it on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody.